Gluten Tag, guys. In today's video, we'll talk about weight loss. Again, my name is Alex and I'm the brewer. Losing weight is a topic that interests many people, and it seems like every year there are new super diets from some guru out there. And in this video, I just want to give you an overview over the topic so that you can decide for yourself what makes sense and what doesn't. And at the end, I'm also going to give you a few tips. Losing weight is simple, but it's not easy. What do I mean by that? The principle of weight loss is just a caloric deficit. And if you don't want to believe that, just look at the first law of thermodynamics, which states that energy can neither be destroyed nor created. And this pretty much ties into needing a caloric deficit for weight loss. So that means every diet that works has you in a caloric deficit. The diet can do other things too, but in order to work, you need to have a caloric deficit. But if the principle of weight loss is so easy, why is it so hard in practice? And it's so hard because measuring calorie intake and output is not that easy. And on a quick side note, what is a calorie? A calorie or kilocalorie is just a unit of energy. And it's an outdated one. Today we use kilojoules and not kilocalories. And 1 kilocalorie is around 4.18 kilojoules. And the definition of the calorie is the energy you need to heat 1 gram of water from 14.5 to 15.5 degrees Celsius. So knowing how much calories you burn and you consume is hard. And there are studies that show that most people drastically underestimate their consumption of calories. So they eat way more calories than they think they are eating. But measuring the output of calories is also hard. Just because the treadmill says you burn 500 calories doesn't mean it's true. And also knowing your basal metabolic rate is not as easy as sometimes claimed. Okay, now we know that we need a caloric deficit, but also that it's hard to measure the input of calories and the output of calories. There are many ways to get this caloric deficit. Some diets do it by just allowing you to eat food that has a low calorie density, so that even if you eat a lot of food, you still don't eat a lot of calories. Other diets make you eat in a restricted time window so that you eat less. And some diets just cut out certain food groups or even macronutrients, mostly food groups that taste good and have a lot of calories, in the hopes that you will eat less because you don't like the food as much. All these methods often work, and they work very good for some people. But the thing is that if they don't work, it can be very frustrating. Because even if you follow everything the diet wants of you, it still can be the case that you eat too much and therefore don't lose weight. And the problem is that even if you, for example, just eat vegetables, you can still eat over your maintenance. You can also eat over 4,000 calories in just 4 hours. Or you can also eat way too much without eating any sugar or carbohydrates. I don't want to discourage you from using these methods, but just to inform you that they work because of the calorie deficit, and also that if they don't work because of the lack of a calorie deficit. And just on a quick side note, if you hear the word diet, please don't think of something short term that will suck, but just try to make it something sustainable that you can do forever. Because one of the big problems with losing weight is not so much the losing weight part, but more the keeping it off part. And the diet I would recommend to you is tracking calories. I know nobody wants to hear that. That is way too time consuming. Nobody can sustain this in the long run. But stay calm. Yes, it is time consuming, and if you can sustain it or not, you can debate about this, but stay cool. I'm not suggesting that you do this forever, but try it for a month. Don't change anything you're eating, but just track it and see how many calories are you really eating. Because I think the greatest part about tracking calories is not so much the tracking calories itself, but more the fact that you get way better at estimating how much calories are in something. And even if you stop tracking calories, you still maintain the ability to roughly estimate how much calories are in something. But I will definitely make another video just on tracking calories. Before we end the video, I want to give you 5 tips that you probably heard already 100 times, and 1 tip that I came up with myself. Tip 1, drink a lot of water, because it will fill up your stomach and you will be less hungry and eat less. Tip 2 is stay busy, because the worst thing you can do for weight loss is eating out of boredom. Tip 3 is avoiding snacks, because the chocolate bar you eat during the day or the ice cream you eat after dinner, you don't really think of those as meals, but that's a lot of calories. Tip 4 is eat a lot of vegetables, because it's low in calories and it will fill your stomach up, and also you make Oma proud. Tip 5 is try to avoid alcohol. You don't need to avoid it altogether, but drinking half a liter of beer a day, every day, will be around, depending on the beer, 1,900 calories every week, and that's quite a lot. And the last tip that I came up with myself is trying to like the feeling of hunger. Because usually you don't like hunger, you don't want to have the feeling of hunger because it's sort of weird and yeah, I don't like it. But if I'm hungry, I imagine myself burning all this fat and I come to enjoy the feeling of hunger. And now if I'm hungry, I'm not as likely to eat because I like the feeling and I feel like, yeah, I'm burning all this fat. And it's just a helpful mental cue. This was all for today's video. I'm definitely gonna make more videos on the topic of weight loss and stuff. If you liked the video, leave me a like, subscribe, also write some comments, it helps the algorithm. You're also very welcome to leave me some criticism down in the comments. This was Fahad, thanks for watching. You can decide for yourself which degrees Celsius. And studies show that most people suck. Other diets rely on restricting my ass. Other diets have you in a restricted eating. Other diets and some diets just cut out certain food groups or even macronutrients in hopes of fucking my ass. You can also eat over 4,000 calories in just 4 hours, or you can not eat Just on a quick side note, if you hear the word diet, you should not think of it as a short-term thing and something that will suck, but just a way of sucking. Litterbassen. You're going to say, that is way too aufwendig. Was heißt denn aufwendig? I'm not suggesting. And calm down. I'm not suggesting. But stay calm. I'm not trying to. I'm trying to. But stay calm. I'm not. But stay calm. Calm. And even if you stop tracking the calories, you still maintain this ability. But I will definitely make more videos on sucking my ass. 5 tips that you probably heard already 100 times. And one tip. And what tip? Warum kann ich nicht reden? Now before we enter. Was kann ich machen, damit mein Mund nicht so komisch ist? Now before we end the video. Tip 4.